Welcome to the CoinCosy Podcast. I'm Ben Osborne. Say again. Okay. Unfortunately, I'm by myself today. Lawrence is very busy, so I'm having to go it alone. And today was going to be our first stream day today as well, but I can't even get that working. So I still wanted to bring out a podcast because I found something very, very interesting today. A chart on crypto adoption around the world. And it really surprised me. And I kind of been feeling a little bit silly about the way I keep talking about third world countries, developing countries, the BRICS, and those sorts of places where people don't typically assume that that's where crypto growth is going to come from. But I'm hoping that this chart is going to seriously surprise you as it surprised me. So I can just bring it up here. So what we have here is digital currency ownership as a share of population, top 20 economies, 2021. Now, the first thing you'll be struck by is the fact that Ukraine and Russia are the top two. And this is 2021, so this is before the war. And I think that's immensely fascinating. I don't know what really to make of that. But there it is. So I know that Russia has been talking a lot about crypto regulation and stopping people from buying and selling crypto in Russia. The latest, I think I heard that they're like, oh, you can mine Bitcoin, but you have to sell it. And the miners are going to be like, well, okay, great. We were doing that anyway. So they have to sell it abroad. So I suppose that keeps the economy, the Bitcoin economy going in Russia. If they really want to attack, it was really not a good idea drinking a fizzy drink, doing a podcast. If they really want to attack Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, I really don't think that it's a good idea. I don't think it's a good idea for them to allow the Bitcoin mining. Like we'll they think we'll keep the good bit, but you can't use it. Like, to me, it's just, and I kind of always think of it like strategically. Like, personally, I want crypto to succeed in the world, but I also consider the strategic actions of states that would want to shut down cryptocurrencies, and sometimes their actions just don't make sense to me. But they do make sense. It just means that I haven't got a complete picture, as someone recently said to me, which is very true. So you've got Ukraine, the Russian Federation. Next is Venezuela. And then you've got Singapore. So that the countries that the blue lines are, I'm guessing, the developed countries. So you've got Singapore, America, United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. It's funny how we have a sentence. Like other countries, they've just got like a name and we have a sentence. That's great. The Republic of Korea. I'm assuming that's South Korea. Has to be South Korea. And then you've got Australia at the bottom. Australia's really slacking there, 3.4. So, but you've got Ukraine, Russia, Venezuela. So Venezuela have had, as everyone knows, serious economic problems. I think I can't remember what year it was, but I think the average member of the population lost about 19 pounds worth of body weight. And if you think think about that on average, that is absolutely horrific. It's one of those statistics that I just can't quite believe. And they've also had serious currency problems. Some of the infamous or famous stories coming out of Venezuela is people, definitely not infamous, but people mining Bitcoin just to buy food. So they'd set up these very strange situations where the only way that they could actually buy food was by mining Bitcoin. How they did that, I have no idea. So this story actually came out of a story about how Kenya was the largest cryptocurrency holder in Africa, which is also interesting because, as far as I know, it's not one of the countries that is actually considering using Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies as legal tender. So I think it's the Central African Republic I think that's the second country to officially add Bitcoin. I'm not sure if it's just Bitcoin or if it's also cryptocurrencies, but Bitcoin as legal tender in their country. And I mean, they're not even on the list. So, but Kenya, where it's not legal tender, and they're top 5. Am I seeing that right? Yeah, top 5. So then you've got India. I mean, India's absolutely massive. That is quite incredible. So digital currency ownership. So this isn't necessarily Bitcoin, and I'm going to that's a very important point, which I'm going to get to in a bit, which is going to put serious doubt in your mind about whether or not Bitcoin can really be money for the world. South Africa really outdoing themselves there. I'm pleased about that. South Africa are right up there. I mean, look, you got Thailand, Vietnam, Colombia, Nigeria, all above the UK, and I thought that the UK was doing great for cryptocurrency adoption. So yeah, you've got all of these countries that are developing. They're not necessarily countries that you would associate. You'd think more of like the high-tech countries like America, like the UK, like more European countries. You'd see them higher up on this list, but apparently not. So, and that begs the question, like, why is that? Now, I think that a lot of countries around the world, Bitcoin is much more needed. So this was something that we used to talk about, in the beginning, the first few years of Bitcoin. We'd say it's difficult to explain to people in Western society the benefit of Bitcoin. But someone in Venezuela understands very, very well what the benefit of Bitcoin is, and that is an uninflatable currency. So when we're talking about whether or not this bear market in Bitcoin is going to come to an end, and whether or not we're going to see another rise, and if there is a recession that the whole world slumps into, is it going to drag Bitcoin down? Bitcoin's in an asset class of its own. It's extremely portable and divisible scarcity, and it's uncensorable. So another thing that used to go on a lot back when Bitcoin just started is people used to demonstrate circumventing capital controls. That's when a country says you cannot take money out of this country. And so people used to say, I remember there was a guy on stage in China that was like, watch me shift £1 million, $1 million out of China. And he just did it on stage like that. And it's like, it's gone. It's like, no one can stop me. So when you've got countries that are going through serious turmoil and serious currency devaluation, and as I've been talking about in the last couple of podcasts, there are more and more countries, and the inflation is going to accelerate, and the demand for something that is not printable is going to increase. So although these countries are very small and their buying power is very small, when they begin to value Bitcoin very highly, and these percentages of how many people in the population own cryptocurrency, it's going to have a significant impact on the valuation of these cryptocurrencies. So just to add to that, so you've got the Central African Republic, I think that's what it's called, that has just become the second country to add Bitcoin as legal tender. The first was El Salvador. So El Salvador is also not on this list, and yet he is actively encouraging his citizens. I can't remember his name now. It's a small country and it's a very young leader, and he's very forward thinking, and he's been buying Bitcoin with money from the treasury, which is very interesting. He wants to build a Bitcoin city in El Salvador, and we will see how this plays out. I mean, I hope that he opens it up to cryptocurrency in general, but I'm glad it's a step in the right direction. But there are serious problems with Bitcoin. Again, I'm going to get into that in just a moment. Other countries such as Paraguay, Panama, I had a list of it somewhere. So Paraguay, Panama, and Guatemala are also looking to add Bitcoin as legal tender in their country. So this is, I mean, I can't understate how important this is, and it's a trend that is growing. And so, yes, Bitcoin seems to go into sync with the movements of the markets, and then it comes out of sync with the movements of the markets. So I'm not entirely sure that it is locked in with the markets now. And so when people want to sell risk assets, Bitcoin gets clobbered. I'm not 100% sure about that. And as currency problems, I mean, I was talking about, so Zimbabwe have got serious currency problems. We're talking about 190% inflation rate. Lebanon, Libya, Turkey have been having serious problems. I mean, there's tons. Obviously, there's Japan. Japan are having serious problems. Japan's not a poor country. Interesting, they're not very high on this list either. And they've got quite a lot going on in cryptocurrency. So this brings me on to my next point, which is, can Bitcoin actually be the currency of the world? Is it the currency that's going to be adopted worldwide? Well, there's a slight problem with that, and that is that Bitcoin can only handle 7 transactions per second. And not just that, they, as I've said in a previous podcast, they have decided that they refuse to change that. They want Bitcoin to scale through its layer 2 system, which is called Lightning Network, where you basically send a transaction onto the Lightning Network, and then you can send money around on the Lightning Network. Here's the problem with that. I'll just close this one and open this one. So you've got, oh, is this going to work? 7 transactions per second. And you multiply that, I can barely see this, by 60. So 420 in a minute. And then you multiply that by 60 again. And you have 25,200 in an hour. Multiply that again by 24. And you have 604,800. So Bitcoin can handle, and this is roughly where Bitcoin has been around. And when it's maxed out like this, you're talking about anywhere from 2 to, I mean, sometimes it gets as high as £50 per transaction. And who in the third world is going to pay £50 to get onto the Lightning Network? So there's many different issues with the Lightning Network. But let's assume it's going to work, and all we need to do is send a transaction to get onto the Bitcoin network. Well, if it's 604,800 transactions per day, and let's say we want to onboard a tenth of the world's population. So a tenth of the world's population is 775. I looked it up just beforehand. 775 million. Just putting those zeros nice and close together. Is that many? Yeah. So 775 million people. That's a tenth of the planet, which is a lofty goal, but I mean it's gonna make sense anyway. And then you divide that by 604,000. Well, I don't know where the back button is. I'm just going to call it 605,000 because it's 604,800. So we'll just call it 605,000. So you have 1,280 days just for people to send the initial transaction to get onto the Lightning Network. So that means that even if they before you even transact with anyone, you're going to have, let's divide that again by 365, 3.5 years just for people to get onto the network. That doesn't include actually buying the crypto. I assume they're going to. I think the reason why we have got such high numbers is because people are buying them on exchanges and not sending it anywhere. Well, the people in the third world, people in countries where they have currency issues, they want to be able to use it. They want to be able to buy goods with it. They want to store their labor value in it so they can purchase goods later. So this trend of people buying Bitcoin on exchanges and leaving it there is going to change. If we're going to get further adoption, Bitcoin cannot handle the transaction throughput, even with their second layer scaling solution, which is the Lightning Network. It cannot do it. And therefore, people are going to choose another crypto. Now, what crypto that is, I don't know. I'm making my bets. You need to learn what are the good cryptocurrencies and decide what your bets are. But a good place to start is to understand what cryptos can actually handle a much higher transaction throughput, which cryptos are secure, decentralized, and cheap. So you want fast. You think Bitcoin is slow and expensive. And cryptocurrency it's a game of network effects. So Bitcoin has got all of the network effects. That means that it's grown so big, it's got so many users, so many nodes, so much brand name recognition that it's the incumbent on the top spot. And just like most incumbents, it's become fat and lazy, and it doesn't want to do anything to please anyone, right? So in order for an upcoming, let's say, a company in the market to remove an incumbent, it needs to be significantly better. It can't just be the same thing but cheaper, or slightly better but the same price. It needs to be significantly better. Now, the thing is with cryptocurrencies, it seems that the network effects in this industry do seem to be even stronger than in, products and companies and that sort of thing. So, but Bitcoin, in my opinion, if other cryptocurrencies are significantly faster, a fraction, like orders of magnitude cheaper per transaction, it's already significantly better than Bitcoin. And then, like in Ethereum, you have the tokenomics, which means that so the tokenomics is the economics of that given crypto. So, how many is being produced, how many is being consumed or destroyed in some cases, how much is being bought or sold, how much is going to be released in the future. There's loads of different things that go into tokenomics. The tokenomics of Ethereum are that transaction fees are burning Ethereum, which means that the amount, even though there are Ethereum being produced, every day, all day, every day, the amount of Ethereum that are being burnt by transaction fees is more than what is being produced. So the number of available Ethereum is actually going down, whereas the number of available Bitcoin is going up. So to me, and not just to me, to people in these third world countries, it's not just about, I like Bitcoin because it's the big one. They actually don't care. They're thinking, can I send it to someone? No. Okay, that's useless. Let me use something that I can send to someone. And as they pile in, so that one network effect that Bitcoin has given up, they've decided outright, the developers of Bitcoin have said, we will not scale Bitcoin, and transactions are going to be expensive forever. And that is how they're going to pay the miners to carry on securing the network. Because eventually the number of Bitcoin that's going to be given to the miners is going to go to zero. It's going to take a very long time, but it's going to go to zero. And they say that transaction fees are what's going to pay for the network. So they have committed to this path. So to me, I think it's completely obvious, and I think it is to anyone that is paying close enough attention that Bitcoin is not going to be the money of the future. Personally, I think it's actually been co-opted. I think it's been deliberately derailed. But that's just a conspiracy theory, I guess. Whereas Ethereum is becoming very slow and sluggish. They are not bringing out their updates. We've been waiting years and years and years. My time is running out soon. So yeah. Check out Ethereum. Check out EGLD, which is called Elrond. Check out Phantom. These are cryptos that actually provide value. They are useful. They're cheap and fast. Much more useful than Bitcoin. So yeah, this is my very short podcast for today, and I won't be releasing any clips over the next few days because I'm going to be busy as well for the next 2 days. In fact, it's getting very dicey over the next couple of weeks, so it's going to be difficult to bring out podcasts. So I need to get guests on, but I hope to see you soon. I hope you like the information that I provided in this one. I've been trying a few new things with my streaming software stuff here, so let me know what you think in the comments below. I would really like to know, and if you've got any questions, that would be amazing. Shoot them down below, and I will see you next time. Cheers.